Alright, boys, today we're going to be doing a 500 no Keris dehydration run. That's right. We are going into the tombs with nothing but our bare hands and beat the shit out of the boss. We're not going to stun. We don't need that stuff. So, I'm going to pot up and then I'm going to show you my vacations and then we're going to run it. We are running a 40 timer. I'm not going to particularly take the raid that seriously, but we'll see how it goes. So we don't need this many restores. We're going to go life second because we're actually going to be running diet. And we're going to do some funny stuff. We're going to do Phoenix necklaces. These heal 30 HP per slot. And this is going to be our evocations that we're going to be running top to bottom. Slow down for a bit if you don't want to see them all, but we also don't have overly. We're going to rely on the SGS and blowpipe to do the majority of our healing. These are basically just like very small emergency heals if we need them. 5 restores is a little excessive, especially with life second. You only really need 3 or 4. We're not going to flick that hard either, so we'll see how 5 goes. If anything, definitely the hardest room of them all is going to be Akka. You want to be pretty good with your butterflying there, but if you're not, you can kind of cheese a little bit and heal with blowpipe there, but especially with the shitty range switches, you might not have so much success. So that will be the room that will gatekeep you in this kind of run. Luckily, his chip damage outside of melee is not too hard, and if you're butterflying, you kind of avoid most of the melee damage. So it's all mistakes, pretty much. Do I recommend this run for most people? No. But once you make it to Warden, it is kind of a cakewalk, provided you don't choke and eat like 8 lightnings. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure you can eat 8 lightnings, actually. Bandage is really OP. The goal for the monkey room here isn't to speed it. You don't really need chins. This one is mostly to take low damage. Feel free to reset if you take a lot of damage. So you want to take your time with these. Manual path if needed, like that. Then after this one, Prey Mage. We'll cook. Kill whatever's close by. The ranger is pretty high priority for this wave. Hopefully you can trap the shaman like I did this run. But that's not always going to be able to happen. So if you're kind of torn between the two, I would go for the shaman and then kill the ranger afterwards. It's my choice. The reason you want to go for the ranger in this run specifically is because ship damage matters quite a bit. I don't really want to start Baba at, let's say, like 50 health. You can help it. Now we're gonna have to slog through the remaining bit here. Venomous offers himself up, so make sure to take the opportunity. Now, you can feel free to Void Waker once, but I would actually not do that. Just hold them. Make sure your quick parries are set. If you don't want to flick, then you might want to bring a few more stores, but it's going to get a bit tight on the Phoenixes in the future if you mess up. I saw people were asking for the secret tech. There's no secret tech to this run. It's just SGS and blowpipe will do the majority of healing in most of these rooms. And that's pretty much it. And Blood Fury, of course. Now, I'm a firm believer that Baba's damage is overrated. People have just been traumatized by like a rare kill, and they just written that off as like it's undoable. So I'm gonna prove that you don't really need it. Does it help with no supplies? Yeah. Do you need it? No. So we're 72 HP here. We're gonna use a blowpipe sec to cheat. Healed up. And see, I just combated, so I'm gonna want another heal, right? So let's just go up here, heal, and then hit him again. Again, I brought a lot of restore. I brought 5. You don't really need that much. So that's why I'm not too worried about flicking. I'm not like flicking 24/7. I'm just doing it every little bit, every now and again. I'm prioritizing hitting him more than I am flicking. And by doing that, turns out, if you deal a lot of DPS, you don't really take much damage. So let's just kind of chill here and hit. Nice fat 18 to our face. Probably give us one last present as he left. Could be like that sometimes. Now with no sarcophagus out, don't really need to worry about the prayer too much. And lastly, we have our emergency healing system, which is going to be this, the Phoenix. If he brings us below 30, we'll just wear one. You could also SGS the monkeys if you really want to, but at the end, his attack speed is pretty high, so just be prepared to Void Waker him to finish him off. Nice fat 22. Blood Fury kind of popping off, keeping us up, but I'm always prepared to use this under too. Not the most ideal way to move that, but I was about to wear my thing right there. Phoenix. I would say on average you're probably going to use 1 or 2 of your Phoenixes. Probably just 1 if you used Blowpipe. Make sure you use Death Charge accordingly. Blowpiping the baboons and letting the boulders run them over is a great way to utilize it. A lot of the time you're actually going to end up using 4 Blowpipe specs, which is what kind of evens out the Phoenixes a bit. From this point on, you can keep it on. You can actually keep it on melee piety. Actually, we'll change it eventually to redemption piety for aqua orbs. And these Phoenix necklaces give you pretty much like a free get out of jail card, like per orb. Because the orbs hit 25 and these heal 30. So 4 of these will basically heal like 5. 4 necklaces will heal 5 orbs. Hopefully you're not taking 5 orbs, but 5 orbs plus whatever it takes to kill you from wherever you started. But it might happen, so you never know. Theoretically, if you don't mess up on phase, you don't take any damage, right? So you could also last it with SGS if you really wanted to for phase, but Aka's defense is pretty high, so the SGS is rather inaccurate. I wouldn't really rely on it. Alright, for Kefri, if you're only using Void Waker as your DPS spec, what I recommend is to stab the first phase only. Don't use any specs. You don't really want to get the 10% rolling immediately isn't that great of a bonus compared to what comes afterwards. Alright, prepare to Void Waker in the second phase, or sorry, after the first stung. The reason you want to do this is because you'll be able to squeeze in an extra Fang if he does decide to dung you again. And that one extra Fang is better than that 10% spec ever would have been. And this only works if you use, you know, 2 Void Wakers, because Void Waker is a 4-tick weapon. Feel free to def charge about a little under 200 HP for Kefri. Okay, the extra fang didn't matter. Just lazy flick Piety for the Ranger, but when the melee gets close, get ready to camp Piety. Like so. Its accuracy is fairly low if you're actually camping the Piety, then you can just switch to melee and flick the Piety lazily. If you are low, which can happen, save some spec that you'll have now for an SGS for the egg. If you're not low, you're just going to continue using it on Void Waker. You're going to feel out the situation. And you want to dung here. And this creates the Ranger trap for the second set. You dung there, and then dung there. Again, could SGS if you really wanted to here. I could def charge, kill an egg, and then SGS another one if I want to go out of my way, but obviously, if you look at my HP, I don't need it, so I'm not going to go for it. Def charge below 150 for the next set. The reason I want to do 150 instead of like 200, because the Major is a moving monster, whereas the Ranger kind of just sits still and takes it. Get ready to dung here if you absolutely need to. Won't trap the melee, which is fine. Stand here, wait until the melee hits the floor, then you can click the arcane. If you don't wait, the Ranger will actually run out of its cage right away. So if you're like standing here, Ranger will not be in the cage, which really would suck. Now, if you want to play it safe, you can lose a few ticks. Run over to the Major quickly, do like 1 or 2 hits. If it's about to fully charge up, use a Void Waker to help. Void Waker is a good chance to insta-proc, but it's not guaranteed. This is not always going to hit above 39 or above. Thank the last bit. If you notice carefully, when I was killing that arcane on the second teleport location, or the second location after the first teleport, you'll see that I ran there. Running there will drag the Major 1 north, as so. And now he can't see me on the south side. There's a similar trap that you can do and make the Ranger go to the right side. Go east instead, and you can hit him on the west side. The reason the south side's slightly, just very slightly better, is that this side is closer to where Osmanton is. So you save a little bit of total time. Oh, firework. And don't worry about running out of restores when you get to Warden. You don't need that many restores at Warden. And we're going life second. If I was low here, I'd pray ranged. But we look pretty healthy right now. If you're about to double dung, definitely do it on the right side. It will lock you a little bit out of Osmanton, you gotta wait a few ticks. But right side is like untouched. You could definitely double dung with no risk. If you dung repeatedly on the left side and then get double dunged there, there's a chance that you get pushed into this western quadrant, or western section. It's not really a quadrant, and that'll be in range of the Ranger, forcing you to pray ranged. That being said, he doesn't do that much damage, so it's not gonna be a huge deal. Decent speed. And we'll have 5 P next for Akka, which is a lot. Probably shouldn't have broken the whole pouch, but now I'll have to go in and drop 2 P next, but whatever. I should just left the pouch it is, and then I only have to drop 1. Fine, time is not that difficult to reach anyway. Be careful not to laser yourself, especially for these. I'm just taking my time with the solve here. If you're concerned about time, you can rush it a little bit more, but you messed up like I did, you might need to smash your pickaxe to get the 1 down. If you're 99 mining, ideally you hit the skip. We'll probably have like 2 whole minutes left anyway though, so it won't be a big deal. Gotta use the bathroom. Salt up here. I have a habit of like having the adrenaline ready for this boss, but this one we actually won't use it because we don't have a sun to heal with, and we're not going double power. If we were going double power, we would do it anyway for the Fang specs, but it's fine. Now this is a level 3 Akka, so we have to count to 5. Our DPS specs, DPS skips should be considerably easier going down that extra level, but in case you don't pass them, get ready to skip. You can skip by running there, and then running through the shadow as a DPS skip happens, or the DPS fail happens when it lifts up its spear. DPS looking very good. Not good enough. Look, some back and forth action into white. Now this is really bad here. If you get melee like this, any changes, especially if you have keep back on like right now, you might be forced into a position where you have to continually back up over and over to avoid getting chipped by the melees. Getting chipped by the melees isn't too bad if you can stun, but with only phoenixes, you really don't want that to happen. You want to avoid keep back as much as possible. If you do have to endure it, it's fine, but tactics such as occasionally praying melee to lower the chip damage, and instead of moving, is a no-go. You want to be clean with your movement with keep back in this kind of run. But this is why Akka is a huge gatekeep, because with Sun, you don't really need to worry too much about the praying part. You can kind of just wing whatever you want for the keep back. Although you'll lose time from keep back, it's not usually a wipe. Here, it's not a wipe, but it's much more dangerous, which usually ends up being the wipe. Back and forth action here. Theoretically, you can like SGS here. Oh, I shouldn't have stayed for that hit, because that's another chance for it to, you know, proc. We'll do a bit of a bold thrall. I usually wouldn't thrall past the second shadow. It's usually a bad idea, because it might stay alive if you do a lot of DPS. And you definitely don't want it to stay alive for come phase of any phases. That phase is definitely very dangerous. That's why we have our P-Nex ready for it. Probably proc there, but let's not take the chance. The reason I'm not concerned is because Akka's due to teleport soon. Cool. And because he's due to teleport, I know I'll have extra time to kill this guy anyway. We get the devil. back and forth into white. Now, I'm fairly confident in my, P4 come phase. If you're not as confident, maybe have all of your specs ready for that phase specifically. Definitely is the most dangerous phase of them all. For the entire raid, pretty much, in this kind of setup. Yep. Let's do some Redemption Piety. Watch your straight lines carefully, followed by your diags. If you fall below 50, put on the P-neck and hit. Don't worry about the Blood Fury. If it procs, it procs. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? And if you play clean, you won't need them anyway. So that orb's obviously going to hit me, right? Because I'm watching my straight lines carefully. And let's do a double dag back. Cover the P-neck. And we didn't need it. Now we just have 5 P-necks we're sitting on. So at this point, we're pretty much just doing a Dehydro raid for the memes and for the extra 15 points. Which, honestly, I do like the extra 15 points. In 500s, every point kind of matters. And I missed my Curse Scepter now. We can save these for orbs, at least. I'm gonna drop one of them so I have space for this. I'll just leave it on the floor, but you can be greedy and pick it back up if you want. At this point, it's one of those raids where you're like, why did you even bring Diet? You could have just had a 515 with Dehydro no Sun. That's true also. No, I'm kidding. The real reason we have Diet off is for the bandages later. It negates P1 and P2. Well, P1 and then SGS negates P2. You can heal on P3 and then one more bandage or P4 and that's it. Very chill if you're experienced with P4. If you want to know the exact tick timings for P4, it's as follows. For Warden P4, tick 1 spawns lightning, a set of lightning. Tick 2, it spawns a separate set of lightning. Tick 3 spawns another set of lightning. And then tick 4, first set will explode. Tick 5, set 2 will explode. Tick 3, set 3 will explode. What does that mean for you? It means once you step on a lightning, once you step on a shadow that just exploded, you're pretty much safe for about 4 ticks. The reason you want to do 4 as a default is because it also gives you time to attack and move as needed. But theoretically, if you timed it perfectly, you have 5 ticks. You would run on it immediately, shoot, and then you can chill. You don't really want to stay on it too long anyway, because Baba rocks will eventually also hit you. Now, a lot of people are very sweaty about the extra damage that Tebow gives you. I don't really know why in a 500 run. It's not a challenge to hit 40, even with Mage, even without a Curse Scepter, without an Curse Scepter. So, just take the L in the speed and do well in the other rooms, in my opinion. This makes the raid infinitely more chill. You're not gonna have trouble reaching time. If you are, do look at which rooms are slowing you down, because it's definitely not gonna be this one. If anything, this is the easiest room. You just focus on your prayers, your character auto hits for you. Let's put on Preserve. Our assault is about to run out. And we're only gonna have another assault for Warden. It's okay to do the box slowly, because remember, look at our time. We have 18 minutes left. What are we gonna do? Spend 8 minutes here and 10 minutes at Warden? Come on. Remember, don't worry too much about the restores. If you want to flick like me, go ahead. Highly recommend not flicking for the more dangerous parts, like during waves. If you know wave skip's great, but you don't really need to. Do plan out a melee solve in case the waves are melee. You want to find a melee tile that's accessible to you, and then you want to find one in the opposite direction of the waves. Preferably diagonal or L. So we have a solve right here. I mean, we have a free one here, if needed. But in case there is no free one, we go here to here, right? So there, and I didn't flick. You don't really need to flick unless it's easy. Second solve of upset stomach. You want to be in the middle right-ish. It's almost always gonna spawn to the right of the boulder, your solve, but it can spawn to the left. You want to go with the most easy common solves. If you do get low from getting acided, you can SGS the jugs. Just be careful not to roll the jugs. And obviously you're gonna be melee range of the jugs, so if there's no accessible melee tile of it, that might be a problem. Now 4+ you can't really pray mage again against these barrages. 2 and 3 you can, they're off ticked. So we're just gonna chill, pray against him as needed, let the projectile hit you, then switch. And then after he does those blood barrages, you pretty much should be expecting a tomato. The tomato spawns are the ones, the little blood spawns that follow you. The easiest way to handle them is to do nice long movements like this, which gives you time to pray and change up while running. You do want to watch out for acid, of course. That's just a given. Taking some chip damage. We can use phoenixes if we were really low for some reason. Nice long movements just like this. Nice long movements. No need to, greed on that last prayer point, so we'll just go ahead and do that. And if you want to, there's a very option where you can finish him off with Void Waker. Save yourself a little bit of time. So, as I said, you are expected to get a slow Zabak, especially without a Curse Scepter, especially not ranging it. I just went power twice. Oh my god. Whatever. I was supposed to go bandage, but I kind of habitually did that. Ugh, whatever. It's fine. Trust me, it's fine. So we still have 2 restores. The only thing is we can't heal after this, right? But we do have Phoenix necklaces to help us out. But we're running a little low on prayer. We just impromptu made this a lot harder than it needs to be, but it's fine. And then I forgot to adjust on. Alright. Gonna tank to 76. Rapid heal is a good way to do it. We don't have Ancient Haste on, so it's going to be 1 orb anyway. I don't really want to sacrifice, in this situation, I don't really want to sacrifice. I basically did a Dehydro diet raid. Dehydro diet, no sun. Well, I'm sure it'll be fine. I guess we'll wing it. Make sure we have enough spec for everything else. With Ancient Haste off, I shouldn't get more than 1 set. Got to do that. I guess I'll just wing it. As the second one hits me, put on my Phoenix. That'll bring me to 30, which is fine, right? Because 30 HP kind of sucks, but that's all I need. Actually, what am I worried about? We're chilling. Dehydro diet, no sun. We don't need food around here. We need some P-Nex, man. I wonder if this works. I want to experiment. Whatever. We'll be fine. There are a few things I want to experiment there. I was wondering if hitting the 0 there would count. I think it just gives me 0 damage, so I don't think it'll count. It's not like the way I think it works. We'll do 5 hits into SGS here. That'll sustain us enough. Guess I'll change the title of this video. I'll call it Accidental Dehydro Diet, No Sun Raid. Just gotta keep calm, you know. I was supposed to have bandages, and then I would just bandage there. Like, after the first orb hits me, and then I'd just be chilling for this phase, but it's fine. But for the second one, I get 9 total hits into an SGS. But what I'll do is I'll do 7 and 2 SGSs. And then I just wasted some spec, whatever. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll obviously do the 9 now. 8, 9. And we'll mage the rest. I'm sure we'll be fine. Yeah, she is so OP. Like, the adrenaline here doesn't really help me. Because if I was going to go power life, I was going to use it at P2 only, and then P4. So having this extra one doesn't really do anything for me. Especially since I'm going to be too lazy to do it the proper way anyway, which is like Void Wake. Alright, let's get some extra SGS going on here. I forgot to adrenaline again. Oh. We can wait. We'll just let the SGS do everything. Got some extra P-necks here just laying around, I guess. In case you're wondering what I would do for an actual Dehydro diet, no sun, I would have SGS the pillars with adrenaline on. That would be at 100% spec. And then I would do Rapier SGS instead of DDS SGS. Our prayer's a little low. Well, I guess we can't sun anyway, so it's fine. We'll use the blue pyramid, and then at the end we'll use the red pyramid. Whatever. But bandages, I would have had one for P4, so then I can tank a lot more lightning. Each bandage is, you know, like 100 HP worth. So you basically have an Ambrosia hidden over time in this kind of run. But to prove a point on how P4 is not as difficult as you would think it would be, I'll probably just no damage it instead. Sounds easier. I'll try to commentate the lightning as I go through it. SGS will, you know, keep my prayer up here. Another thing about the Dehydro diet off that's kind of scary is if you wanted to realistically keep it consistent, a Dehydro diet no sun raid, you can skull skip, you'll still make time. So easy. I got a piece so bad. Been holding it in since Akka. Another thing, as I was saying about the Dehydro diet, is that you would have to rely a lot more on redemptions and time it well so that you're not really losing prayer doing it. And then you would definitely go, you know, power twice, but since you have no food. But I think this variation of the raid is also pretty easy if you're just more confident in P4. Because you get the plus 15 and the dehydration, like the brews of the actual rooms don't matter too much. Just because you can peanut cheese Akka, and then you don't really need food anywhere else. You don't need brews or baba, really. Like maybe one peanut. Which is easy to proc. You can also proc with your divine. I don't know, that baba just doesn't deal enough damage for it to matter. Let the first dust come above your head and then go to that nice tile or row, whatever you have set up. Now we could use these E-necks. The lightning doesn't hit above 30, so it is pretty good. But the thing is, if Shadow's going to be your main DPS, switching away from a cult is usually not a good idea. And at the end of the day, your goal isn't to bring more P-necks, your goal is to 0 damage to P4. If there was a goal for you to aim for with this kind of setup, it would be to make sure your P4 is clean before doing this. Your P4 in comparison does not need to be anywhere as clean as how clean you need to be at Akka for these kind of runs. Whether it's with brews, whether it's with bandages, diet off, dehydro off, doesn't matter. Your Akka needs to be exceptionally clean without Sun, which is the main difficult part. Once you have Sun, you can kind of just power and Sun away through the come phase and eat like a billion of them. But that's not too much of an option for you, unfortunately. Really let about 2 boulders go above your head. If the timing's weird, kind of just feel it out as you do it. You can also just do the skulls normally, right? That's a faster way to get time. Now, if you do have an extra adrenaline, or you're gonna use as much as me, I was supposed to use it at P2 and P4, but you end up in the predicament as I did. You guys can click power twice. Obviously use it. And no matter what, you're gonna send all 4 of your DPS specs. Focus on dodging the rocks, getting your prayers up. And then, once you're more comfortable with that, graduate to stepping on the shadow to the lightnings. You kind of know that once they pop, you're safe on that. For 1, 2, 3, boom. Look for another shadow. 1, 2, 3, boom. I know I'm safe on that one for a bit. Step on a new shadow. You kind of migrate to the most recently popped shadow like that, and then like that. You kind of have free runs, just winging it like that. 36 minutes. Got all this stuff left. If I went life, I would have more restore than this. By far, I wouldn't have touched my own 2 restores, pretty much. But whatever. We'll do an impromptu 500 bake skinny diet. Fasting, more like. There you go.